Hey everybody, hope you're all doing well out there. This video has been sort of mulling in my brain for a couple of years now. It's something that I wanted to really think about and put some thoughts together over time before I sort of lay it out to you, because I'm going to say some things that some people may not agree with and let you know this is just my opinion. And you can take my opinion or you can leave it. And that's very important because I'm going to be talking about reviews and who you can and can't trust. I'm not going to say who you can't trust as in as a specific person or entity. I'm going to be talking about sort of a type, if you like. Now, if you don't know who I am, I'm known as Spice110. I've been a YouTuber for about 10 years now. I do review products, to be very honest with you and up front. I do and have and will review products in the future, and I apply this methodology or my methodology to those reviews to try and give the most honest reviews I can. But by doing this as a job since the days that, when I started out, if you walked into a shop or a dealership or emailed a company and said, hey, I'm a YouTuber, I'd like to do a review on one of your products, they would have said, you what? Not YouTube. And they would have just been like, why would we possibly want to do that? And there's a few companies along the way that were over the moon to work with me when I thought their product was good. But when I said, well, no, this isn't good anymore, they got offended and actually asked me to remove videos off the internet because, I quote, yours is the only negative video. You mean mine's the only truthful video? The product in question, or the company making those products in question, went from being great to rubbish. And there is no way I'm going to keep telling people that something's good when it's not. And that's all part of this. And there's also all the laws and the things that have evolved during this time. And I want to try and give you a toolkit to see through this marketing that a lot of people do, to see what it really is. And also some counterintuitive things that I think might surprise some people and some people might take some offence at, but I'm sorry, I'm going to talk from the perspective of facts, statistics, psychology. So as I say, I'm not talking about motorcycles necessarily, I'm not talking about any specific person, and I literally do not have any specific person in mind or company or entity. This is going to be across motorcycles, all sorts of stuff on YouTube. It's the same deal. If someone's trying to sell you, a set of verniers or a phone or a battery or anything, it's the same thing. They're just trying to sell you something. So the question is simple. Whose reviews can you trust? In my opinion, there is a problem from both ends of the scale. You have what we commonly known as the shills. And I suppose I should explain the laws first so you understand where these shills are going wrong. I'm using shills because it's something that people always say, oh, you shill. Shill may not be the right word, but it's effectively going to do the thing. Any YouTuber, anyone advertising, anyone promoting anything, even if it's your own company, you have to tell people what's going on there. So, for instance, if I am sent a product from company X to review a product, my requirement by the ASA laws, the Advertising Standards Agency laws, and if you search ASA rules YouTube, you'll find a very nice sheet they've made that just outlines the things you need to do. And it's so simple, it's not complicated. It comes down to this. At the beginning of the video, not the end, at the beginning of the video, you say where the product came from and whether you were paid or not, because that's important. Now, it doesn't mean that you're going to lie and not give an honest review, but if you don't tell people that, you are not being honest and you are also breaking the law. And it also is clear as day to other people when you're doing this if you have an affiliate code. So just know that the law requires everyone, including people promoting their own businesses. If you put a post up promoting your own business and you act like it isn't your business, breach of the law. If you review a product and don't mention where it came from, even if you were just given it, not paid, if you were just given it, because under the eyes of the law, being given a product or being paid is the same thing. You're receiving a benefit. Now, even if you are given a bike to review, for instance, I'm going to use a bike here because that's, what I do a lot of the time. If you're given a motorcycle to review and you give it back, you are still getting a benefit, which is access to that machine to be able to perform your job, which can lead to you making money. So again, in all scenarios, the easiest thing to do is to tell people where the product came from right at the beginning of the video. As you know, if you watch my videos for years, hey everybody, Spice110 here. I am now going to be looking at the bike that X company lent to me for X amount of time. I'm going to be making X videos on it, and then give you a review at the end. I do my reviews completely honestly, and for that reason, as I say, people I've worked with in the past don't seem to want to work with me anymore. I can only jump to the conclusion that it's because I'm being honest or too honest. None of these companies would tell me that's the reason they're not working with me. Most of them just, you know, you don't exist. Just ignore them, they'll go away. Well, yeah. So let's get back to that scale. Over here we've got what we're going to call the shills, people who are given products or paid to review products, or even are selling products through their own company and not telling people where it came from. So the point is, no one knows where this product came from. They are some of the worst. It is possible to be paid and given a product and be completely honest about it. But if you haven't told people where that came from, you're not being completely honest about it. And to me, that throws in an element of doubt. It's the amount of companies channels that I have watched reviews on, or watched them doing what they do, and they're using certain tools and they're saying, this is an absolutely fantastic tool, it's great. And then you realise, wait, they have affiliate codes. They are affiliated with this company. And then when you look into it more, you realise that in this industry, about half of the people that are doing it are getting given products, materials and financial help from a certain company, so they are seen to be the company. I got the impression that in what I was looking at this time, the company was a good one. And then when I looked into it, I'm like, they do make good products, but they're getting this opinion to me by paying off people and you know, not forcing them to be honest about this. Many companies do not want you to be honest. They would love for you to just say that it's the best thing since sliced bread, yada, yada, yada. So you might think, naturally, the best person to ask is a person who bought the product themselves, the owner's review, because they're going to let you know what's good and what's bad. I'm sorry to say that I believe that owners' reviews can be some of the most biased and useless reviews you will ever see, and I wouldn't trust a word of it. This is not because I think the person is genuinely lying and trying to pull the wool over your eyes. I think they are pulling the wool over their own eyes. There is a thing called buyer's confirmation. Buyer's confirmation is basically, I bought this thing, so this has got to be the best one there is. You'll do a video and someone will say, X bike is an absolutely fantastic bike, that's the one you should get. And I say, do you own it? And they're like, yeah, I do. I think it's the best bike in the world, blah, blah, blah. Have you ridden any other bikes in your life? No. If there's a common negative view about a bike, they won't accept that that's a thing, which is something else I'll get into. And obviously, as I say, if they spent their hard-earned money on it, regardless of whether they enjoy it or not, if they think it's the best thing ever and they've got nothing to compare it to, that's not reliable. So you've got the shilliness on one end of the scale and you've got the buyer's confirmation on the other end of the scale. And you're like, well, who can you possibly trust in this world for reviews? And I think the answer is, and this is why I've mentioned this at the beginning, people like me who are independent reviewers, because we have nothing to lose or gain if they are honest, independent reviewers. Now, as I say, I'm contacted by many different companies about lots of different really crappy Chinese products and stuff like that. You know, the companies that I'd love to be lending me stuff are harder and harder to get hold of, and the ones that just want to throw stuff at me, it's just cheap tat, and I'm really not interested. Or they're trying to scam me, it's one or the other. But this is why I say that I think an honest, independent reviewer is the best person to go for, is because they don't have the shilliness of not telling you where it came from, or necessarily an affiliate code, or if there is an affiliate code, they're very honest about that, and it's all at the beginning of the video following the ASA rules. Not, oh, I think this is the best thing since sliced bread for 7.5, 8, 9 minutes, and then right at the end you're like, here's my affiliate code because they sent me this product. No, that legally has to be at the beginning of the video. If someone watches your review, the first 2 minutes of it, for instance, or the first 30 seconds, and they don't know where that product came from, most people are going to assume that you're either a shill or you bought it yourself. But if you don't mention buying it yourself, why aren't you mentioning that? Like, as I say, when I do a review, I will always say I'm reviewing X product, I was given this, even in a video years later when it's like, I was doing like a tool video and I'm like, I'm going to use this Bosch impact driver that Bosch sent me. I did work with Bosch on a couple of different tools. They supplied tools to me. I did reviews on them, honest reviews. They were really cool about it. Everything was fantastic. Nothing bad about that at all. Until they wanted me to sign a 9-page or something like that contract. It wasn't that shady. It wasn't saying that I had to say nice things or anything like that. I've never seen a contract from a company that says you must say nice things. That contract was more about them covering their own butt, because they didn't want anyone to make claims that would go back to them that someone could then get sued for and they are found legally responsible. They wanted me to make myself legally responsible. So like, hey, we want to give you this product, which is only worth, £100 on the street, To us, it's absolutely nothing like that. It's a lot cheaper. We want you to take all of this legal responsibility for everything and anything you've said, and we want you to go and promote that to people for free. That's why I said, no, sorry, I can't work with you anymore. I was also offered some cleaning products from a automotive cleaning company who said, we want to send you a care package, all this stuff, and make videos and let us know what you think about it as and when you use it. I'm like, that sounds cool. However, we want you to sign this thing that basically says you cannot show any other cleaning products in these videos, blah, 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 blah. You think that I'm going to do that for 50 quid's worth of cleaning products sat in a box? Like, this is the thing. I cannot tell you how many automatic air pumps, hand tools, and God knows what I've been offered to review that I just ignore and turn it down. The annoying thing about that, though, is they do this in campaigns. And the amount of times that I have said no to a crappy product and then within 2 weeks seen someone else reviewing said product, not telling anyone where it came from. And I'm like, I know you've been given that. I know this because I was offered it and I said no. But when you have a smaller channel or you're starting out, you have a tendency to want to agree because you think this is acceptance. This is I'm getting somewhere with this. It's not good. Now, admittedly, if you go down the completely honest route that I've gone down, I'm going to tell you this: you're not going to have a particularly successful channel because it doesn't have the panache of this is the best thing in the world. Wow, it's amazing. Woo! Because I'm like, okay, it's good, yeah, but what's it going to be realistically like? Like when I did a review of a track-orientated 1000cc motorcycle, I reviewed it on 30-mile-an-hour country roads because the majority of the people that were going to be riding that bike were not riding it on track, they were riding it on real roads, and that is the important side of it. But that doesn't get you the views of, wow, look at this, bah, 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 bah. It's just a different side of the industry. That's still good and can be honest and great. And mine can be more realistic and maybe for the more mundane, but at least it's actually got more factual information. Now, my point of view on this has always been that if a company wants to sell a product, or if you're going to buy a product and you're going to research it, are you going to watch someone screaming about how quick it is? Or are you going to talk about the guys like, well, the seat catch is a bit annoying and over time this vibration is a problem, but this bit's good and you should know that, yeah, exactly. I think people who buy bikes watch those sorts of things. People who are 15 and don't actually buy bikes watch those sorts of things. And again, I'm not talking about anyone specifically there. I'm talking about as a generalisation. It could be applied to cars, boats, planes, all sorts of things. It can be, or anything, the way that anything's sold. If they're screaming and being ultra hyped, fake energy for YouTube, oh, it hurts me inside. It really does. And I know maybe I'm too boring and deadpan for YouTube, but my God, I'm not going to go down that false positivity, screaming my head off, unless it's what I actually feel like at the time. The early days of my channel, for instance, people thought I was a complete nutcase. They just didn't realise I was suffering with severe depression. And the time that I was on the bike was when I was actually happy. And it as a like a switch, you go from very depressed to absolutely ecstatically happy. And the endorphins are there and your brain goes nuts on them. And then people loved those videos and said to me, you should make more of those. I don't want to be depressed. So obviously I am buttering my own parsnip here by saying that I think that independent reviewers with nothing invested in it are the most trustworthy people because you don't have them being paid to say anything. They don't have any, yes, okay, you could say that with me, I want the bike companies to keep lending me bikes, but I've always worked on the basis is, well, this is probably the last time they're going to lend me anything. There's videos that when I get on a bike and it's fantastic, I'm so happy because I'm like, oh, this is easy. This is just great and fun. It's good. And then I'll get on something that I'm like, I don't like this. This is wrong, that's wrong. And I'm like, I have to make this video. I have to say thanks very much for lending me the bike and feel like I'm, pooping in their dinner. But if I don't poop in their dinner, I'm pooping in yours, more so. So the risk I take as an honest independent reviewer is that the companies shun me because they know I'm going to be honest and they're going to rather give it to someone who's getting that. And the other thing is they value the numbers of views, like that translates into sales, as I was saying earlier on. I have a video on and this is part of the reason this came up actually, the Bergman 650 Executive. I made a video on that quite a few years ago now. It's got like nearly 500,000 views and I think I've pissed off about 500,000 Bergman 650 owners. I, unlike any other video, do not understand why the comments on that video are the way they are. But part of it is the fact that I angled that video from the perspective of most people on, sports bikes and stuff that I spoke to when I said, like, what do you think of like the Bergmans, the maxi scooters? They're like, maybe when I'm older, but I don't want that now, it's boring. And when I reviewed it, I knew that people would be like, oh, I'm not interested in this. So I thought, well, why don't I do it from the angle of, like, I understand why people don't like them so much, and I am not excited by it. It's not that I hate it, it's not right for me right now. And it was for that reason that Hazelmere Motorcycles said, well, why don't you take it out and just give your honest, if you hate it, say you hate it. And I went out and I made some jokes, I played on some stereotypes, and then slowly as the video goes on, you can see my opinion changing. Like, I kind of want to hate this, but I really like it. And by the end of the video, I think it's great. That video, which many Bergman 650 owners absolutely detest and think that I don't know what I'm talking about, that video sold, I think it was 8 Bergmans in the first year or something like that. In fact, it was that video that got Hazelmere Motorcycles mentioned as being one of the best standout examples of social media at a Suzuki conference, where people were like, well, who would want to watch people riding a Bergman 650 around? And they turned around and went, well, currently about 300,000 people, at which point that person sat down. And that's one of the interesting things. Like, Suzuki were happy to use me as an example of that's really good marketing, because if you'd actually watched that video through, you would notice that I'm like, yeah, this is actually really good. It's a good bike at what it does. I'm not saying it's a bike for everyone, but it is a fantastic bike at what it does. Now, as I say, the majority of the people that are angry about this video, it would seem, are Bergman 650 owners. Why are people watching reviews of their own bike and then giving me hate because I don't agree with them? Although I actually do agree with them, it's just they haven't got the time to watch it, or the intelligence, it would seem, to read between the lines and realise that, I'm sorry, but the reason why I'm having this, like, this angle of most people don't like these and most people don't nod at, like, people don't nod at scooters, they don't necessarily see them as part of the biking community, although I don't necessarily agree with that, but that is what is commonly thought. The reason that exists is because, well, there is some truth in it. When I was riding that scooter around, I would nod at people on bikes and they wouldn't nod back at me. People would, without question, have nodded at me if I was on my bike at that point. Well, what's the difference? It's got to be the bike. No, it doesn't matter. Of course, then people are like, I don't care what people think of me. Neither do I. It was just playing on a joke. I was talking about the fact that most people don't like these bikes because, frankly, it's probably, for most, it's not as exciting as a big 1000cc sports bike. But just because you own one and like it doesn't mean other people's opinions are wrong. As I say, if you're on this end of the scale or this end of the scale, I don't trust your opinion. If you're in the middle as an independent reviewer, it doesn't really matter too much whether the person lends you another one or not, or at least you don't care, or you hold on to your morals strong enough that, look, like, if you're not going to let me do it honestly, I don't want to do it. Because what was the last one I had with that? I had a company contact me quite recently about a product they wanted me to review, and I was like, actually, yeah, I'm really interested in this product. Cool, let me know what I need to do. Just one thing though, this is going to be a completely open and honest review. I'm going to say whatever I like. Hello? Hello? Yeah, that's a quick way of shutting down a conversation. I'm going to be honest about the product. They don't even let me look at the product. Just knowing I'm going to be honest is too much to send it to me, because, like, oh, that means he might actually say something negative, but we want the ones that are just like this, on the product. I think the honest review is the more valuable one, because people can see that you're being honest and you're giving negatives and positives, and everything has some negatives to it. There's cameras in the past that I've reviewed and then seen someone else review, and I'm like, you used that for 10 minutes, you haven't actually tried to do anything with it, and you have not got to the point where you realise the major issues that thing has. But because they're working on an affiliate code, they don't want to do that. When I'm just like, quick bish bash bosh, this thing's great, yeah, okay, it's got, you have to have a learn with it, play with it, I've not used it too much, but whatever, go and buy it, go and spend, half your month's wages on that camera. But then again, when I make a review, people say, oh, it's too long-winded, why can't you just give me the answer, is it good or bad? Because there is no good or bad. It's a bit of both, a bit of everything. It depends on where you're coming from or what you want to do with it. As you can tell, this really does get my goat. One of the main things, as I say, is just seeing other creators not following the laws that a lot of us do follow. And it has a negative impact for us, because we're like, oh, I was sent this product. People are like, oh, see, they were sent this product, you can't trust them. But the person who was sent the product and didn't tell you is the one you can trust. I even have people say to me, specific one, I'm like, I know they were sent a product and they lied to you, and you are there telling me I can't be trusted over my review that I'm honest about compared to someone who is lying through their teeth about where it came from. Of course, making this video is kind of pointless because it's more than 17.5 seconds long and most people won't watch it and it won't make much difference. And if you are watching this far into it, you probably know most of this anyway, but you might not know those simple rules. Here's a question I'll pose to you. If someone at the beginning of the video doesn't tell you they were given it and paid, given it or lent it, and they also don't say they bought it themselves, what do you think the case is? Because if you were being honest, you're going to say one of those things. If you bought it yourself, most people think that that is the most powerful tool that you have to say that I'm going to give you an honest review. So if they can say that, they're going to say it. I mean, they may be saying that, you know, I bought it when they actually didn't. They're lying through their teeth, and there's no way you're going to know necessarily, unless you're a creator and 2 weeks ago that company was emailing everyone under the sun trying to get them to review it. You know, you talk to other creators and you're like, have you had from that company? Oh yeah, they keep emailing me. I keep telling them, well, you just ignore them basically. There's too many to say no to. And as I say, the amount of products that I have been offered in the past 6 months alone is just ridiculous. Half of them may be scams just trying to get my details because every single one of them wants to, and that's the other side of this. If you're a creator and you're getting into this, you're going to get contacted by people. Most of them are scamming you. If they want to talk to you through WhatsApp or they have a PDF that you need to download, stop. No. But of course, if you're a new creator and you know you're hoping for the day that companies come to you and start lending you stuff, you are primed to just be a complete mug and suck that scam down. So you need to be questioning of things. And the reason that I say that maybe new smaller channels are slightly overly hopeful is that I have had people say to me, "Oh, Spicy, can you tell me what camera do I need to buy? What software to use? How do you get a successful channel and how do you get companies to lend me bikes to review?" Basically, in short, I want to review bikes like you do, and obviously that's so easy to do. It took no work over the past 10 years and it took no struggles or no costs. We just tell me how to do what you do. It's insulting at a base level. It's just ridiculous on a higher level. It's just, no. You have to have a successful channel already that you do for a reason, be a person they like, and also have a value to them to lend you that product with the knowledge that it's worth asking you. You know, if this is, one of the problems I have is I have done a couple of reviews on tyres, and I've always said to the companies, what can I really say when I haven't done a side-by-side comparison with lots of other tyres? I haven't, you know, I've not pushed these to their limits or anything like that. I'm just riding around on them. And that's why I say to people like, well, is this tyre better? Is that tyre better? 99% of people are not driving or riding, should we say, to the point that the tyre makes much difference. Okay, wet, dry, stuff like that, whether you have a light or a heavy bike, stuff like that is important. But generally, I would have said that most name brand tyres are just good. They'll do the job. Great. Sure, some of them might lose grip when they get overly heated quicker, but then these aren't track tyres. These are, and that is something that people might want to know, but it's very difficult to say. So when someone says on Twitter, looking for suggestions of good tyres to try, and then people are like, oh, you should try this, and you're like, have you ever used any other tyres? No, they're the ones that came with my bike, never used anything else. I mean, that's actually worse than Yahoo Answers saying, no, I don't know the answer to this question, because you're almost saying, I do know the answer and this is it, but you have no way of confirming or denying that. It's, I think you can see what I'm saying here. Watch out for channels, regardless of what industry or where they are, about how they mention products. If you think they were sent that product by a company and that channel, that entity didn't tell you they were sent it or where it came from or that they bought it, maybe get a few more second opinions. That's all I'm going to say. As I say, I made this video to try and educate the populace who don't work in this industry, who haven't seen it from both sides, who don't get the emails from the companies saying, you know, we'd like to review a product, and then you see other people doing it, or understanding that when there's an affiliate code with that company, you know how that affiliate code got there because you were working with them and you were sent the product and you didn't tell anyone. That's why I have always done things honestly. That's why I've always said where something came from and the whole scenario around it, because it's covering my own butt as much as it is being honest to you. I hope, as I say, that was useful. I'm going to go now. Bye-bye.